Hello everyone, welcome back to Dakota's Political Circle, and today I just wanted to do a 2026 Senate prediction video for you guys. So I'm not going to be doing these too often since it is only 2025 right now. I'm probably going to do these maybe once every 3 months, possibly, maybe every 2 months, once every 2 months, because I know it's not 2026 yet, so I don't want to bombard you guys with videos on this topic. Just like I'll do the governor's ones possibly, and I won't bombard with you guys. I'll just do them every once in a while because I know it's not 2026 yet, but I know it's going to be very, very important when it is 2026. But I do want to do this video for you guys because I know it's really important, because when Trump does go to the midterms eventually, I know it's going to be very, very interesting because usually with midterms, presidents usually end up losing seats. They don't gain seats that much, especially in the House, mainly the House. The House is the big one. The Senate's a little bit different. It's a little bit more different when it comes to the Senate. I think if Trump does very, very, very well during his first half of his term, I think he quite possibly can gain in the House, but he has to do very, very well. Like, people have to actually have a favorable feeling towards Donald Trump's presidency, at least for the House races. For the Senate, it's a little bit different. I think it really depends on how much you push towards each district and how much each state is shifting. But either way, let's get into it. Let's start right now. Okay, so let's start with the safe blue states first with the Senate. And I'll also go through certain ones right here, just to give my example on certain ones as well, just to go a little bit more in depth about it. Since there's no polling, I'm just going to go by Wiki. So let's go with the safe blue states. Let's go with Oregon. I think Colorado would be safe blue. I'm also going to do Massachusetts and New Hampshire. I believe New Hampshire has, if I look just in case, yeah, New Hampshire, it's a slightly moderately blue. Yeah, their current senator is a Dem, so yeah, I'll keep that a Democrat hold. So that's safe blue. And now with Maine, it's a little bit different. So, I believe Susan Collins is the one that's in Maine, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Susan Collins. So that's a little bit different. So that's safe blue for Massachusetts, New Hampshire. I'm going to give Rhode Island to the Dems, as well as Delaware. I'm not going to put New Jersey yet. It's quite possible. Minnesota's a little bit different since it's not the other one, Klobuchar. It's Tina Smith. I'm just curious, how much did she win by in her last election? I'm just curious about that. Let me go to the last one. There it is, Tina. So 48% to 43. That's a little bit close. So I'm not gonna put it in safe Dem. I'm not gonna put it in safe Dem. Also, I kind of want to look at. I just want to look at New Hampshire. I'm just curious how close it was the last time. Yeah, pretty overwhelming. So okay. All right, the next one for safe Dem, Illinois, definitely Illinois. I'm not sure about New Mexico yet, so I'm just gonna leave them blank for now. I don't see any more safe Dems, so I'm just going to leave the rest blank. So let's do safe Republican. There's a bunch. So Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, you got, and also I think Alaska would be, because I don't think it's Dan Sullivan. So yeah, I'd say safe Republican for Alaska too. Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Arkansas, Louisiana. Also Texas, but just to mention Texas for a second, obviously it's John Cornyn. John Cornyn is a horrible senator, by the way, but he did win overwhelmingly. So I think no matter what, if he gets ousted, for example, I still think Texas is going to regardless go to the Republicans. And then let's go with Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and hopefully Shelley Moore Capito gets ousted for a different Republican, because regardless is going to be a safe Republican. But it really depends on I mean, it could be anyone, and it'll still go in. But I'm really hoping Shelley gets ousted because she's being kind of a Reiner right now. And with Florida, I would probably actually there's no. Well, why does it show an election? Oh wait, I know why it shows an election. It doesn't show an election here because it's not showing up, but I believe it's Marco Rubio's seat. So I think it's still considered, but I don't want to be too sure. But I'm just going to put it there, and anyway, it's going to be safe for Republican regardless. For Florida, then that's 50 to 41, and I think, and then so far it's already 50, so it's almost a Republican majority already. I think that's all the safe red. I don't want to put Ohio in safe, but I think that's good right there. So now let's do the likely Dem states. I'm going to probably put New Mexico here. I'm just curious with New Mexico. I don't think New Mexico is going to really do well at all. Now, look, it was kind of close when you look at Mark. Like, it was kind of close when it came to New Mexico. Actually, well, it really depends on how much favorability New Mexico has. So I'd probably, actually, no, I'm not going to put it in likely just for that scenario. So I'll probably keep that off of likely. With New Jersey, this is an interesting one, but I'm going to put it in likely. I actually think New Jersey is going to get closer than usual because of the shift that's been happening. And also remember, it is Cory Booker that's in there, so it is a little bit more challenging. But I do think it's going to be closer. I just think it'll be a likely scenario, even if it does have Trump support. And then any others likely for the Dems? Minnesota's a little bit different since I said it is Tina Smith. I would probably say not likely. I wouldn't say likely. So I don't think there's any other likely Dem states besides New Jersey. So let's leave that. So now let's do the likely Republican. I think, now I kind of want to look at Ohio. Yeah, Ohio was J.D. Vance before. So someone else is going to get put in there. Depending on who Mike DeWine actually ends up selecting, I'll probably say likely because it's an open seat. It's not like it's a Democrat-run seat like it was. So I'd say likely for Ohio. And then I don't think there's any actually. I don't think there's any more likely Republican ones on this list. So that would be 51 to 42. And let's go to the next one. So let's go lean Dem. So lean Dem states. I'm definitely putting New Mexico in this one, especially because of how close that last election was. I'd say New Mexico gets a little bit closer. I'd also put Minnesota. I think it'll get a little bit closer here, but not too much closer. I think it's going to be a little bit closer though. And then I'll leave the rest blank for now. So let's go with lean Republican states. So this is going to be interesting. So I think Maine will be one of them. I mean, Susan Collins, even though I despise Susan Collins, she's pretty much a juggernaut in the state of Maine. If you replace Susan Collins, I will shift that to safe blue because of how much Susan Collins is liked in Maine. And everyone in Maine hates Republicans. So I mean, I'd say if with Susan Collins, if you don't try to oust Susan Collins, you're getting like a lean margin. Now, in recent years, obviously, Susan Collins has tried to get ousted at least by the Dems, and it just never works out. Like, it's just not going to happen. So I don't think that's going to happen at all. Okay, let's go to the next one now. So there's Michigan, Virginia, North Carolina, and Georgia. So far, we have 52 to 44, which is pretty good. That's pretty good, but it needs to be better. So with lean Republican, this is interesting because I think North Carolina will be the one to be lean Republican. I know they have Tom Tillis. I'm hoping he kind of gets replaced because he sucks. But I think I think it'll be a lot better than a 48 to 46 margin. But regardless, I do think the Dem will end up losing, and it's going to be Tom Tillis or whoever gets put in. And I do think it'll be a lean margin for North Carolina. So far it's 53 to 44. And also remember, we have a 53 margin. So this would be exactly what we have right now. But then there's 3 more states right here. How do I think these 3 states will go? Now, I think these states will be a lot closer. So let's go to the tilt Dem and tilt Republican. Let's go with the state of Michigan first. I think the state of Michigan, and when I go with tilt, I'm just going to pick one by each. But with tilt, with Michigan, it's going to be really, really interesting because Michigan was very, very close. Even though this is 2020, Michigan was very, very close in selecting John James. Like, they were very close to select John James in 2020. Remember, this was a COVID year. This was a year you would have expected Dems to win by a significant margin. And then you saw the big shift in 2024 when it came to Michigan, and Michigan still ended up going to the Dems, but by a bare margin. I do think Michigan can shift right enough if Trump does well enough in his term. I do think Michigan shifts. So I'm going to say tilt Republican for the state of Michigan. I do think it'll be very, very close, especially with someone like Gary Peters. If John James runs again, I think John James beats him this time. But you never know. I'm not sure who's going to run against him. But you never know what could happen. And now the next state, I actually want to go with Virginia. I want to go with Virginia here. So with Virginia, it's really, really interesting because the state of Virginia, now obviously Mark Warner won by like a massive amount in 2020. But you got to remember, there's a decent shift that's happening in Virginia when it comes to Republicans. Now, do I think it'll be close enough to, move the needle? I really don't know. It's very hard to determine that, especially like if I look right back here, if I go back to 2024, if I show you right here how Tim Kaine did, he did really well in a, with someone like Tim Kaine. I mean, you would think he'd do better. I mean, Tim Kaine's very favorable, but I mean, I would think Hung Cao would have done better in this type of year, but he really didn't. So I really don't know if Virginia is going to shift that much. So that's the reason I'm kind of iffy on this. So I'm going to say with Virginia, I'll actually put it in the lean margin. Now, obviously, I've already done lean states, but the reason I'm doing this is just to show you guys that I don't really think Virginia is going to be close. I think Virginia gets closer when the years go by. It's kind of like, in a way, it's kind of like when Dems talk about Blexus, we talk about Virginia. And that's kind of the comparison there. Virginia is that state you just want to shift. You want to shift that state. And it's really hard to do. So I don't know if it'll shift too much, but I do think it'll shift to a lean margin. I think it'll be closer in margins. And then there's this last state. There's one more state. You got the state of Georgia. Georgia's an interesting state when it comes to all of this. So John Ossoff is the one that's the incumbent. Well, actually, I think he's not going to be. I think he's actually retiring, possibly, because it's not showing the incumbent here. He's possibly retiring, I'm assuming. But he did win 50 to 49 by basically a split margin, and it had to go to a runoff. In the first round, David Perdue did end up winning, but in the runoff, John Ossoff won. So it kind of sucks how that happened. But that was in 2020. Remember, 2024 was massive for Republicans. We had a great red wave. Trump won. A lot of shifts happened. So I'd say, considering if Trump does well in the first half of his term, I think Republicans pick it off. They pick off Georgia as well. And they might pick it off by a lean margin. I don't want to say that because I'm really not sure. It really depends on how well he's favored in midterms. But I think at the end of the day, you'd have a 55 to 45 Republican margin. You pick off states like Michigan, Georgia, North Carolina. You just do really... Actually, I don't think North Carolina is one of them. I meant to say Michigan, Georgia. And that is a very massive gain for them. I mean, you have a sizable majority. You gain from your 53, and hopefully you also win the House. If you win the House, you have a more favorable margin in the Senate to get bills passed. You don't have a 60 margin, which really sucks. I might be tempted to make a video on how can Republicans get to 60, which would be nice, but there's a lot of chances. You got to take, like, for example, like 56, 57, 58. That would be 58 if you do the lean ones. And then you need two more. Like there's 59, and then you need one more. Like where are you getting that extra one? you'd have to look at these, solid blue states, and it's just not possible. Unless, I don't know, you'd have to have a very sizable shift, like in New Hampshire maybe, or like a state like Colorado. I just don't see that happening. The closest you can get to 60 maybe is 59. I think 59 is like the closest you can get in this election in 2026. I don't think it's possible at all to get 60. But at least 55 is better than 53. More sizable, more bills can be passed, more stuff can be put through for Trump and the rhinos. Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski will not really have an advantage. And then there's also the other rhinos that hopefully get ousted. You have John Corm. Hopefully he gets ousted. You got a couple of others in there that I also hope in a way get ousted in the primaries that are in safe red states. Just like there's some others, but I can't remember their names. But anyway, guys, please let me know if you like this video. I'm just curious. I'm not going to do these videos too often. Since it's not 2026, I'll probably do them maybe once every 2 months, once every 3 months until 2026 is around. Then when 2026 comes, I will post videos every month, just like I usually would. I also do governor ones. I think governor predictions are bigger this time around. I'll have to look for 2026. If they are, then I'll definitely post videos on those two, just like how I'm posting with the Senate, just every, 2 or 3 months. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments how you feel about this video. Let me know if you think I'm right. Honestly, I think based on what I said, I don't think it's too far off. Maybe some can be changed, but you never know. But anyway, guys, let me know in the comments. I'm not sure when my next video will be out, but I do hope you enjoyed my last video. I know some people probably didn't like it, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And it's very, very close to Trump's election. Trump's, inauguration. We're very, very close to electing Trump as president. So, him being inaugurated. I don't know why I said elected, but him being inaugurated as president. Just a decent amount of days left, and once that is on, I can't wait to post even more videos during his presidency. And hopefully he enacts a great deal of things that I can talk about on this channel. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.